I'm pinned to the floor. Someone's trying to get me to squeal with my left wrist. They actually ripped the clothes from my body, like prison shirt, prison jeans.
None of them officers would have known what had happened and why that triggered you?
There was officers that utilised people skills, that engaged, that showed a little bit of empathy or understanding. There's someone behind that door who's got childhood trauma that has just been re-traumatised and triggered. What's going on behind all that? That never got asked.
Right, Rod, I would just like to explore, obviously we've heard your story, you've been to jail a fair few times. The bit that interests me, I've seen violence from prisoners from my side. So I'd like to explore how you saw it from your side with regards to bad experience. Was it officer driven? Was it circumstance? Was it you? Was it just angry? And some of the negative experiences you've had with regards to, your interactions with certain officers.
It's sort of, because I first went away in '86, I wasn't finally released till 2015. There's a good time frame of change within that. I used to see officers as ruling and enforcing the rule of law within the prison as the truncheon and the boot. Going back to Law Newton that I mentioned previously, like you'd be hit.
Did you find it brutal in the early days?
No, I didn't see it as brutal. I saw it as a way of sort of pushing the boundaries, and I felt sort of connected to be beaten. It sort of in a weird way.
Well, you're almost expected to be beaten. Yeah. Really?
Yeah, and I'd challenge that. I'd deliberately go out my way to get the truncheon on the elbow that he called Hector, because it always connected. But then there's sort of, the prison system has changed, a lot of it for the better, where now it's not the boot and the truncheon that I see, it is the carrot and the stick. That if you fail an MDT, that this will be the consequence of it. If you go and do this program and ETS and control anger and learn to manage it, that'll unlock the successful outcome of being on a panel review and going to a CCAT. So it's getting people through the change in dynamics.
So you saw that change at the end of your sentence.
Yeah.
What changed from the beginning? Because 1985, it wasn't like that, was it?
No,
wasn't your mindset?
No, it certainly wasn't like that. Right. It was, when you'd overstepped the mark and an officer had rang the bell, blew the whistle, or do whatever, it was like the charge of the life brigade.
Yeah.
The crescendo of noise that was coming, all the way, so everyone was getting hurriedly banged up. It was as much as you walked into it with your eyes wide open. It was quite a traumatic sort of thing to endure. Did you think in your mind, were you trying to fight the system? I was trying to communicate in a way that I didn't understand, and
right.
I wouldn't personally say it was fighting the system. It was standing up to what I disagreed with without being able to challenge it in an articulate way.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. Throwing scalding hot water over an officer in HMP Lewis ended up with me, obviously, in the seg.
So can I ask why you threw that water over?
It was games that were played against me, because I became a problem on that wing. I was starred up.
A problem? Just expand?
Yeah, just my attitude and behaviour.
Were you bolshy? Would you describe yourself as bolshy?
I would see it as taking advantage, taking liberties, taking the piss. I'll give you an example. Adult wing, F wing, HMP Lewis, 20 years of age, going down for your cornflakes. At the end is the guy with the ladle for the milk. And it's usually the guy who's on the milk is one of the chaps.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of respect. I just plunged my jug in and take it and what. And like,
Right.
you know, that was, I wasn't challenged. There'd be an SO behind there that never challenged it either. I think that costed the new what would come next had it been challenged.
Did you go there with a reputation, did you?
I was creating a reputation.
Did you not get ghosted there from...
No, this came off the YP side of the prison, where it was just one landing on one wing.
Right.
So like get him onto the adult side, whereas it just increased for me to be more. But I'd ended up going through digging through 3 foot of the ceiling on the floors, going through, escaping, getting out on the roof. But the guy I went out with, my cellmate from Margate, he burnt all his hands getting down the homemade ropes. And unfortunately, at 2:30 a.m, an officer had been coming round doing patrols, had seen the rope. I'd managed to get back through the roof. We had a candle made out of butter and a pineapple tin with a bit of bedding in as the thing. That had been blown out, so I couldn't find the hole.
Right.
To get back in. I've tore all my sides getting back through. When they've come round checking, I said that I remember the words like they were yesterday. That's got fuck all to do with me. And they says, well, obviously, you'd be out there with that lunatic, but we're going to have to put you in the seg overnight. As I got up, I'd not put a t-shirt on, and it was saying so. From there, I was put into patches. So I was on the E list. I know that the officers were. Of that landing, didn't take too well to probably the slap on the wrist that came through 3 weeks of tunneling out through the roof, caused, so they moved me into dirty cells. You get moved, put your clothes out of an evening for anyone who doesn't know us on the escapee list. I'd get the cell clean, and then I'd be moved again into another one. Letters were being held, things were missing. I wouldn't,
So did you feel, because of that, all these things that were happening to you, that you were getting dug out by the staff because of the hole in the roof?
Yeah, and you know, there was a us and them ethos that you know, they were just looking out for the guys that they probably drank in the pub with and, you know, had a barbecue with the weekend before, etc. And I understand that, but for me, I couldn't explain how angry I was that was building inside that. So I thought I'd challenge one of the main protagonists in my mind. And I can remember swilling him with boiling water out of the urn. And the aftermath that came from that, the kicking that I got on the way to the segregation unit, was just part of the course, really. It, you know, not a. It
was kind of an unwritten rule, that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think I'm not saying that the CNR staff who taught CNR, the wrist locks, etc. It would be a good mental thing for those that are still behind the doors. Here's someone trussed up like a chicken or a turkey, letting the odd squeal or of pain
and
out.
This is what happens if...
It's signs... It's
psychological, isn't it?
It's a psychological sign of, oh, fuck, I'm not going down that road. That's one step beyond.
That's true, that.
No, I can get it. I understand the psychology behind that. But this one time, it was strip cell, and we know the move, how you get the last man out, got your leg folded, out the doors, people close it, but they actually ripped the clothes from my body, like prison shirt, prison jeans, etc. And having endured an amount of sexual abuse as a child, that was quite sort of horrific to have. It's only ever happened the once, that removal of clothes by force. You know,
and for me, there's the void, because none of them officers would have known what had happened and why that triggered you.
No.
Not that that's any excuse, I'm not making an excuse, but they had no clue why that would affect you in the...
all they saw was
a violent individual.
The reactive response of like, that's not normal. But for me, I was like, wouldn't communicate that. No one was sharing my inner turmoil as a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
So that's where it was born out. But, you know, body belts, laid in my own excrement for longer than I probably should have been.
Yeah.
It's none to name which prisons that was in. Another time, this is how innocuous it can happen. Extended gym session, buzzing. I don't know anyone. David Wintersgill, ex-Wolverhampton Wanderers. The thing is, get the showers back on the wing. Got back to the wing. Being a lifer at the time, I knew my rights. Form Comp 1, Form Comp 2, confidential access. Thing is, you're not getting a shower. I said, "Oh, I am." Unbeknown to me, the button had been pressed. Again, I'm pinned to the floor. Someone's trying to get me to squeal with my left wrist. That we think I'm not having it. Another officer said, "This is me pinned to the floor now." Another officer says, "Give me his wrist. I'll do it." So someone else has took over my left wrist, trying it every which way to I'm not squealing for no one. I'll bite my tongue off first. It's not happening. Then my head was moved to the side, and a female officer punched me across my jawline, and I had probably 8 holes across my jawbone from a diamond ring.
Right.
And bruising from that. It was tender for a while. So yeah, that.
So when the dust had settled, they obviously put you back in the seg.
Yeah,
how did
how
did that make you feel? Were you resentful or angry?
Angry. I wanted to,
retribution.
Were you scheming for your next?
Yeah, just that just reinforced all the mistake and bullshit that I bought into us and them.
Yeah.
When the bell's gone and the PE staff have got there, the punching stopped and the overreactive responses stopped because, someone there who knew me is like, this guy, every time he comes to this jail.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head. The staff who knew you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who took time to get to know you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just one, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all right, Len.
When you said you used to walk and you used to put your jug into the did part of you want to be challenged when you did that?
Yeah, because I was looking for that.
Yes, you were looking for that
response, and that can have happened as well. And I look at that from the bigger picture of gone very deeply into 18 months of psychological counselling.
Right.
Is that from a rejectional purpose, relationship wise. I know it's slightly going off tangent, but it will give a bit of deeper insight into what you're asking. Is that if I never pulled in the nightclub at 2:00 and everyone's thinking, I'd be gutted about that. So I'd go and get my kudos back in the kebab shop by going to the front of the queue. Everyone kicking off and them growling, threatening everyone that, outside you three now, oh, fuck that. Reputation restored. So I was looking for it, but for all the wrong reasons.
Right, I get that. And you've already said that, and you've already said the them and us thing. Yeah. So that was kind of underpinning it, and the fact that the kudos to go with it. How would you have reacted in front of your peers? Yeah. How would they have seen it, and so on and so on. And it's kind of interesting that you thought about doing that. Taking the extra milk, which seems nothing really, but it would have been the staff's job to challenge you. Yeah. But it's how they challenge you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll ask you a question. So if it had been a PEI who challenged you, or it had been a uniformed officer, would your reaction have been different?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
So it wasn't a universal them and us.
No.
Right. Okay.
No, because there was officers that utilised people skills.
Right.
The engaged, that showed a little bit of empathy or understanding or asked a question, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
I know you alluded to earlier that you spent collectively however many years, but you never really had time to ask why or to understand.
No, you don't.
But them snippets of time that you do get to ask why or to understand, that then drops down all barriers.
I always found that You know, I was never one to do it, and I avoided it, and there was reasons which I won't go into now. But when we had to put comments, the lid system and this, that, and the other,
History sheets and stuff.
yes, and history sheets,
S03E10,
yes, and all this, that, and the other. I always found it interesting that staff would write this if it was negative, and this if it was positive.
If they wrote anything at all.
If they wrote anything at all, and very good at writing negative stuff. And I'm not blaming the staff for that. I think that was the way that they were institutionalized. You know, it's very difficult, isn't it? It's easier to write something negative than it is to write something positive.
This episode is brought to you by Curious Matter Productions, turning up the volume on society's forgotten voices. The series Hope in Hell is a platform for amplifying raw, real stories of survival, despair and triumph, told through open, honest and powerful conversations, because no matter what life throws at you, there's always hope.
If PE staff had to wear uniform, would that be I mean, we do wear a uniform, but it's a romper suit, isn't it? It's what it's classed as. Wearing a tracksuit, and did it break down the barriers? Or I suppose the acid test would have been if I ran the football team at Acklington with a shirt and tie on and epaulets and this, that and the other, would the lads have reacted differently to me?
No, I think I'd have still seen you as a person, but on the flip side of that, yes, it would have affected, because I'll use the same analogy of saying Tom in a white shirt as a standard London officer to you turning up all in black as a dedicated search team. My animosity towards you would be a lot more than it would against Tom.
Justifiably so.
So less so in your shorts and trainers or your blue tracksuit. Definitely. But where I think the prison system as a system in a bigger entity went wrong is that the trauma informed care aspect of incarcerating someone like me wasn't ready for that. It had to be like polarized as is anti-staff, is not engaging, is violent, all the negatives that go, so that absolutely supersedes anything. But what's going on behind all that never got asked. And I think that we still in 2025 haven't caught up with, apart from some of the therapeutic communities that are doing some great work and being able to understand what's people's actions, but what's the motivation behind them actions when you can look at that.
And again,
it's a different narrative.
I mentioned earlier that each jail has a different role, and those roles should be fitted into jails which can deliver that. It can be started at places like HMP Durham.
Absolutely.
It can be started there, but it's supposed it's so fractured. It's not joined up. There's no, you know, you were gonna be with us with your life sentence for a bloody long time.
Yeah.
You know, so if we kind of get something joined up for you, then how are we going to expect a good outcome? You know, and all this stuff what you're talking about is kind of, I mean, I don't know of the staff of today. I mean, I've only been left 3 years, and it's kind of changed a whole load, but I don't hear very much that it's changed for the positive. But the old school prison officers would probably, a lot of them, Tom will probably agree, that type of stuff would be seen as very nuanced. That's we're not here for that.
Yeah.
Well, you are. We are, because you're in our charge. You know, I'd prefer to come in every day and laugh with you than fight with you.
Yeah.
So how do I achieve that?
Yeah.
You know, and
I've always said that. I'd like, to the young staff, certainly the younger staff, I would much rather talk to a prison than have to fight them.
Yeah.
There was times where there was little option. And like going back to you, you know, if you'd have been transferred, say from Lewis at your worst,
Yeah.
you know, we'd get tipped off. We've got this lad, he's an handful. So from a staff perspective, I'm expecting bother from you. Yeah. So straight away your hecklers are open. It's happened loads of times.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We used to get them from Liverpool, London, Leeds, used to get them all. They're a handful in Leeds, they're going to shift them to Durham. you lads sort them out. So straight away you're on the defensive. I've been assaulted a few times.
And Durham used to have that. Sorry, Tom. Durham used to have that reputation, didn't it?
Yeah,
so as soon as you lads are getting off the
cages,
van, as soon as you lads are getting off the van, we've got that information. You've got that information. Well, there's no really good outcome there, is there? It's difficult, isn't it?
It just makes the situation explosive, because you see a bunch of area screws like all,
Waiting for you.
Yeah. We're seeing just somebody who's assaulted a member of staff thinking he's going to be a handful. So straight away you've got that. It's like a simmering pot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a standoff. You know.
Yeah. So from a staff perspective, sometimes the prisoner can misread our intentions. My intention is not to get hit. Your intention is obviously not to get muftied. So it's a bit of a,
No, I think you had that intention at first, didn't you?
Yes. Sometimes
build your reputation.
Depending. Yeah, but because that there showed to the other lads as a 20-year-old that I'm not to be messed with.
Yes.
You know.
So it wasn't just for the staff; it was for
self-preservation,
the persona that you wanted to put out
of the reality was the mask that I put on was just a mask.
Okay.
In reality, I'm shitting myself.
Right.
You know, I'm
underneath it all.
Yeah, I'm scared. It's alien to me, but you know, to front it out, that was a way of doing it, and it worked. To some extent.
I've just got this image of you walking up to the and dipping your thing in and looking around and giving it this, you know, as much as to say,
fuck the lot.
Who's going to do it?
I'm surprised
who's going to do it?
Did the cleaners know your reputation?
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
It come off the YPs and that like it might have been where I've helped myself the first time, because you know the back in the 80s the lads who had a bit of swear and you know a bit of a reputation that were compliant would be given them roles. So I put the challenge on them, like showers.
I always pick the biggest lads for my cleaners.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, so just if you've got a problem,
That's
showers.
Funny. It's funny.
And someone's going to put custard on the crumble, and I certainly wasn't going to do that. I'd rather have, you know, come out frothing at the mouth. Which sounds barbaric and bizarre, but
So from being, I'm saying fighting against the system, you were just basically keeping your reputation intact, weren't you? That's what you were doing. So at what point during your sentence was it that touch from the woman? Or were you still violent at that point or not?
No, it was not staff. I knew that would have been, life license over here. An assault on staff you probably wouldn't even got past the paper sift for parole. You wouldn't have even got in front of a parole board. I knew that. I was wise, prison wisely enough to know that you've got to play the game to.
You were more incentivized, weren't you?
To some extent, you know, and I'll give you an example. Is that all the younger lads who were probably at my age group that were in the scrubs on the life of wing, serving a life sentence, were given enough raw because everything was psychologically written in your F75 report. Crying that, why am I going to Parkhurst? Well, because you've took the piss and you've not played the game to some extent. And those that got Garth and Gartree or, you know, what we're saying is progressive moves.
Were you ever such a handful that you ever put on the roundabout, the 28-day lie down?
No,
you never that bad?
No.
Well, 10 of 74.
We used to get quite a few of them,
It's the 10 of 74.
The really violent ones, we used to get them all the time.
No.
Just keep shipping them around.
But them guys were admired.
Yeah.
Wrongly so, distorted, blinkered.
Badge of honour, is?
Yeah, you know, and you still hear the reputations on some podcasts that go on now.
That
have still got people living off that reputation in the past. And I can only speak warmly enough of the Teesside aspiration to become the next Lee Duffy, the Newcastle aspiration to become the next Viv Graham, the Manchester to become the next Paul Massey, Essex, Pat Tate, etc. But like, what are we all aspiring to become in reality is death and destruction.
Of course.
Who buy a ticket to that journey? But
they do.
It's being replicated now by our youth, and that's being sold as a
Do you think? This is just. Do you think any of those names that you've mentioned ever had the thought, but couldn't say because they were too deep into it, that they wanted a different life? Do you think those?
Yeah.
Those,
I'm sure every one of them names that I've mentioned, rest in peace, the lot of yous, would swap all the champagne, all the Sierra Cosworths,
right.
all the women and nightclubs and holidays abroad to be able to take their grandchildren for a toffee apple or an ice cream at the beach.
Yeah.
And it saddens me to know that I would put my life on the line now that that would be swapped in an instant if they could have that opportunity.
But they were too deep in, too hard.
Yeah, it's so
reputation.
Sad.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And the thing is, what else do you do when you're engrossed and you've lived your life of crime? You know, sometimes, I mean,
you're not going to get a job at Tesco.
Bless Gary, he'd never get a job as a laminator. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
his skills were channeled elsewhere.
Yes.
You know, to alleged robberies and stuff. That's where his skills lie. Yeah. I think you can't plant a rose now.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
That's real progression.
but going back to that nucleus question that you asked, what could change differently today?
Right, I'm going to ask you this, right? This is the question now. This is where all of this is heading, is if you had a magic wand, what would you change about the prison? Whether it's policy, staffing, prisoners, incentives,
but that's where
earnings,
it becomes complex,
education.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Put in a sentence. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, not in a sentence. Is that I put it up in lights,
yes,
flashing lights, luminous flashing lights. That it needs to be a trauma-informed package.
Right.
The statistics that need to go in them lights are, in 1970 there was 100,000 mental health spaces in places like Winterton, where I'm from, etc. High Royds down in Bradford. Big things. That is now, and the prison population was at 30,000. That is now 90, and them 100,000 spaces are down into 20,000 mental health spaces.
And mental health has gone up without a doubt.
Yeah.
I would say that I've met loads of lads in prison should be in hospital.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that would be the first thing that I'd have as an educational tool to look at statistically. I'd then look at the reoffending rates of people that go in like me as a minimalist newbie to custody, being banged up with a dyed in the wool fifth sentence guy who's saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that in your thing. You should have went no comment." That's the first golden rule. Always go no comment. Then, you get away with doing alarm systems this way and that way, and you don't do this, that, and the other. And he's, got 15 shower gels and a cupboard full of tuna because he gets drugs in and sells them. How was the first timer? Because we've got the estate, A cat, B cat, C cat, and D cat. I believe that there should be specialist prisons with specialist trained staff for people that are going in for the first time, that can't be hoodwinked, can't be coerced, can't be influenced by hardened criminals, lags. That are going to sort of disrupt their understanding of what the criminal justice system is, and then for it to be trauma informed, that it's not a taboo to talk about mental health.
What do you do with the lads who won't engage though, because they're in the mindset of how you've described? How do you?
That's their choice. Okay. They then go to the other establishment that's no longer a BCAT. It's there where there's closed visits for I'm going to think people screaming at the screen here for like the drugs that are.
It comes back to your carrot and stick, doesn't it?
Yeah, specialist officers that have got a little bit more sort of acumen of being sort of coerced into
a different mindset.
Different mindset into that. And I despise myself for saying it, because I was just on the cusp of detention centres where it was a military doctrine thing. If you don't get up at 8 o'clock and do your hours run or whatever it is in them prisons where you've been caught with a mobile phone and you're drug dealing and you infiltrating the youth or bullying people into whatever it is you're doing, then you don't get visits, you don't get phone calls, you don't get this.
Stick, isn't it?
Yes, so going away from the back to the carrot and the stick.
Yeah.
That putting everyone in the same pot is letting the little fish be harmed by those.
That's a great point,
that
actually.
have got sharp teeth. They're getting ate and turned into, maybe sent down a path that they don't want to go down. And they're saying that the likes of Rodney helping him sell the milk, well, if I do that, then I'm going to have respect and kudos.
Yeah. Monkey see, monkey do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but again, and speaking to two excellent ex-prison officers, that allowing a little bit of the ownership to go to a psychological intervention for a first custodial sentence, of letting them sort of steer the ship a little bit more.
I'll tell you what they used to have, and for me it was a really good thing. When I first joined, you used to have a personal officer. So I'd have 2-1 to 2-7. They were all mine.
Yeah.
But they used to stay at Durham quite for a
the
longer
turnover,
period.
the churn's massive, isn't it? Population
It wasn't so
management
much back
is just,
then, but it is now. But back then, I used to get 1 to 7, for example. Now I'd personalise it. I'd go on a visit. If I got on with a kid, I'd go and meet his family.
Yeah.
And it just breaks them barriers down, doesn't it?
If you had the time.
Yeah, but you did, Lenny, because what you used to get is a main shift. I had a main shift
Or have been a personal officer.
to be a personal officer. That's
Yes.
all I'd done. I didn't do the landings.
Well, that's a luxury, isn't it?
Well, it is, but
That's a luxury.
It's gone.
it quickly
It's gone.
disappeared because of staff shortages and
how-
getting cross-deployed. And
On a similar level, how often did you have to go upstairs and fight because they were going to take us out of the gym to put us on the landings?
Yeah.
How many times?
Loads.
And they're never seen the impact of doing that. Not just that the gym would be closed and lads couldn't get to the gym, but there was knock-on effects. There was always knock-on effects. However, on the flip side, when we had no choice, we could feel the difference when we were on the landings.
aye.
Tangible.
If I said, we're like, come on, lads, get behind your doors. Come on, this, that, and the other. But if I said it and somebody else said it, and I could never get that round because the officer in a white shirt wants the same outcome. He said the same thing, but prisoners react differently. And I used to stand there and think, why?
Yeah, but
Why?
I'll give you an example. It was on B Wing. There was a group of lads, there must have been a dozen, and then there was a dozen and they were going to be at it, right? And at that point in time, I was stood in the middle on my own. I mean, there was other officers, but not in sight.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh, okay, hell, if this gun's off, I'm just going to have to let them gun at it. But I said to them, look, lads, now it's happened up to this point. There's cameras and all of that. This doesn't have to happen. And it was purely out of respect for me that it did, because that could have turned ugly, and that's the difference between a good and a bad officer.
Yeah,
Had it been somebody like,
Don't
well,
mention any
I
names.
won't name him.
I think
But
we're probably thinking about the same people.
yeah. Had that been one of the ones we could probably name, that would have gone a different way.
Yeah.
And that's only because of respect, because I treat them with respect, unless they give us a reason not to, because that'd be quite hard. But they had to give us a reason for it, though, Len.
The final thing that I would add on it is that for any new officers coming into the role should have a 2-hour session with some lived experience.
Did I not just
guys.
suggest that earlier?
It's just myself, Gary,
100%.
with the trauma-informed package, because I recently was an establishment where I heard an officer new to the role, screaming at the top of the lungs that, get off your fucking bell. We know it's time to unlock. If you get on your bell again, you're going on effing basic. Back on his bell. The officer now's got paperwork to do, now got to do like a move for the basic, whatever goes with it. But how I saw that, in a sort of omniscient helicopter view, where is that there's someone behind that door who's got childhood trauma that has just been re-traumatized and triggered, into listening to someone say, you do that again, you're getting the fucking buckle of the belt. But really, go on then, Dad. That's exactly the same thing. So not being trauma-informed care, aware by lived experience and how the dynamics.
But I think training comes into it as well. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely would love the likes of you and Gary, and go and talk to staff and give them a session on your life story, because I think they'd be massively beneficial. But the other thing is, I would probably describe myself as, I was firm, but I was fair, and I would help anybody as long as they weren't screaming in my face. Do you know what I mean? There was a line they couldn't cross, put it that way. And I used to say to the young staff, you know, we control a lot of what these do. And what you don't understand is, if he's expecting a visit at 2 o'clock and it's 2:30 and nobody's unlocked him, you've got to accept some of the, you know, he's not shouting at you. He's shouting at the system that's failed him. We failed him.
Don't take it personally.
Don't take it personally. You know, you're waiting to see, you might be waiting to see his family and his kids, and we haven't unlocked them, so we deserve a little bit of that.
You haven't heard the phone call of, we can't afford it really, but I'm borrowing your money off your Auntie Sue so we can get the train up to come and visit you.
Yeah.
And it's fucking us too.
And
no wonder the guys in
I said the system has failed them.
But staff get that engrossed in what they have to do and the pressures placed upon them from... So it's from the top that it comes down to, you know, and it's that's what I said. I keep coming back to, it's so complex.
I'll tell you what's wrong with the prison service. A lot of what's wrong with the prison service, and having been a manager as well, they're so process driven.
Yes.
I was more about outcomes. Now, if I had to weave a little bit to get to where I wanted to be, I was quite happy to bend a few rules, like, not illegally, but do you know what I mean? They're so process driven. And for me, it's more about outcomes.
Yeah.
For the lads as well, mind.
Yeah, it is.
And staff when I was on the union.
Oh, that's another podcast. That.
Oh, we'll do a whole podcast.
Well, I love you thinking on it. The outcomes. The thing is, like, I love it that I'd like to leave this building today and buy us both a pint. Whereas previously, I'd have had the mindset of swilling us with it, which is like. Do you honestly think what a breakdown that is in human sort of responsibility?
Do you honestly think Gary had worked with a dick?
A couple of times when we went through benchmark, and I was asked by people, about. I always used to bang on about that. There were just words: recidivism, rehabilitation, the revolving door. I used to get sick of hearing it, you know. And I've said it before, and I think I said it on the last one. This when governments change, there's more green papers which go to white papers, and they still talk about the same thing, and it's the definition of madness for me, but insanity. But the thing is that what I found was that you mentioned time before, and you've talked about time, that most lads changed at a certain
juncture.
Yes, in their life. So from 18, 21, I'd see them pretty regularly coming back and coming back and coming back. And then as they started to get older, those gaps started to grow. And then when they got into their 30s, they were very few and far between. And then into their 40s.
You get the odd one, but it lessens.
You get the odd one, but it just got less and less. And that needs to be looked at as well. Yeah, why does that happen? You know, and is it what you talked about? Is it that newbie in the jail? Does that impact upon them? And does that drive them to come back because of the university of crime? And then when they get older, the stark realisation, that ruler, which you talked about, is getting shorter and shorter.
Do you know what I find though? This is my own personal view, it's not the prison services by any means. I've never believed in short sentences. You know, 3 months, 4 months and that, I think would be better served in the community. Doing something purposeful, mate, not
restorative justice, giving someone back.
That was massive in Durham, and it worked massively. We had 2 officers employed solely for that. What an impact that had. But again, it come down to pounds, shillings and pence. And it's sad, they know the value of the pound.
Right, they brought a family in.
The value of nothing.
To speak to about this restorative justice when they first started, and their son had been murdered. And I wanted to go, and it was held in the chapel at Durham, and I sat kind of out the way at the back, and I listened to this family, and I went in there with this prejudgment that I couldn't, no way, restorative justice. But they started off by saying that they'd actually, this is probably the wrong word, that they befriended the perpetrator. And I thought, I was just so. It was honestly, I just kind of get the words out what I felt, and I was thinking, wow. Then when I came away and I reflected on it and I thought about it and I thought, well, you know, that takes something special to do that. Why did you do it? But they explained why they did it.
Here's a question, Rod. Now you've changed. Sorry, Lenny.
You're not sorry. You just
no.
you used to do this all the time.
Do you know why you come in? Because I forget what I wanted to ask.
Yes, I know. Do you know where you are?
What day is it? Have you ever wanted to apologise now you are where you are, with your mindset now, to some of your victims? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever done it?
Yeah, I indirectly done it on my parole hearing for release. I'm sort of excluded out of the county of Staffordshire, but that wasn't part of the
Rod, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, that wasn't going to get set in stone. I've asked for that because I was humble enough to believe that my victim. His family didn't need to see me like celebrating or eating ice creams or, you know, enjoying life. And for that reason, I had that put on as a license.
So that was kind of an apology.
Yeah, which is still on today. It's like rubbing someone's nose.
Of course.
Nose in it. So, out of respect, that is one sort of small step that I can like recognise within myself as doing that. But yeah, apologise. You know, we'd still be here till the cows come home. For if we go into thievery and things like that. But you know, hurting people's feelings, views, and that it's
doing the work you're doing though, Rod. In effect, you are apologising, aren't you? You're fixing some of the.
Yes, no, I know you shouldn't. I know this is a psychological sort of stance on it. Is like in some way it's a form of atonement, and that, you know, like I have one lad working with someone who's been released as classed as very high risk of reoffending. He's now been reduced from very high to high down to medium. Got him in his own property. He's not using drugs. He's looking at doing some voluntary work on steering groups for the NHS and giving back. That for me is very cathartic to have watched that happen
And be part of it.
and have some fingerprints on that. That is giving back in its true sense. Because at the end of the day, I know it's me who sat here, but it's not about me. It's trying to get the message across that don't follow the path that I've took because of the hand I was dealt. I could have gone the other way. And I believe every man has got the opportunity and ability to turn it around, no matter how deep
You've got to want to, though.
Yeah.
You
have to want to. It has to be choice.
Everybody deserves a second chance. Yeah. I've always said that. But you know, it's just it's I don't know. It's what those things may go a long way to change, and if we just get one success, then it's success, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and it's huge. It is. It's massive.
I see the work we do as planting seeds. When they grow, it's down to the individual, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But at least I'm putting the seeds down.
Yeah, give them the tools and
and the rest's up to you.
Yeah, I know.
I think a lot of people in prison, I've said this, when you're in prison, it's quite easy to say, oh, I'm not coming back, you're missing your family, you're missing your kids, you know, your freedom's gone, your liberty's gone. It's easy when you're in prison, when them gates open, the world opens up and the opportunities open up, don't they, all over again. But I always say, if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. And you find a lot of that in prison, don't you? It's society's fault. My dad hit us with a belt. You know, it's easy to find the excuses.
Yeah, but
at that point, there's some point it has to stop.
Yeah, I think for me, I know I've mentioned it on a previous podcast, but a big catalyst and turning point was I still held on, even on my life sentence. I still held on to that ACAB for all coppers are bastards. All coppers are bastards. Was that sort of ingrained in me that
them and us again,
the psychologist who was doing my counselling with us asked, did I still hold that belief? And I said, yeah, I'm adamant that all coppers are bastards. And because she'd got to know me over 18 months, she was able to know that I was into my football, etc. We sort of went off topic, and she asked if I remembered the Bradford fire disaster.
Yeah.
Of which I did, and like the BBC televised that on the news. police officers in the old, like, you know, these blue shirts, them long
coats.
crimple coats, running in, pulling children out of that fire with the hair alight and the jackets melting into them and that. It's like, I think it was 80, early 80s.
Yes, it was, yes.
I remember watching it.
And she asked, did I still think all coppers were bastards? And that's the first time
So he was stumped.
She planted that seed that you mentioned, seed planting, that I thought, how the fuck can I say that? And I can't say that. There's good and bad.
But you can say that
everywhere. It's amongst everybody.
Yeah.
I've heard prison officers say, all cons, they're just scumbags. You shouldn't label them all. I'm not saying there's not bad people in there, because there certainly is. But there's an awful lot of good stuff. It just needs pulling out.
Yeah.